family that are joining us via Facebook and our YouTube channel. Today we are into part 2 of our August series, which is On the Wings of Love. And our topic today is Love's Ascent, with the focus on feeling the uplifting power of love as we examine how we lift our spirits and improve our relationships. And I always like to begin with a quote from the writings of Ernest Holmes. And today I have selected this quote from Words That Heal Today on page 54, paragraph 1. Love only is the fulfilling of the law, bringing its use to those higher purposes that bind us back into the heart of the universe. Love waits for the fulfillment of the law. It is kind and does not envy. It seeks not its own and thinks no evil. And if you were here last week, or if you may have watched the talk, we talked about Ernest Holmes' emphasis on love and law. And the law is the execution of the word. Love is what propels the law into action. And the law is the actual execution and bringing forth of the divine good that we experience in our lives. And our book of the month that we're using this month is The Teachings on Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. And this is what he wrote on pages 49 through 51, and it's slightly redacted. But he says, our notion about happiness entraps us. Isn't that a wonderful way to be entrapped? We forget that they are not just ideas. Our idea of happiness can prevent us from actually being happy. We fail to see the opportunity for joy that is right in front of us when we are caught in the belief that happiness should take on a particular form. Happiness is not an individual matter. It is the nature of inner being, that which takes place within us. When we can make one friend smile, their happiness nourishes us also. When we can find ways for peace, joy, and happiness, we do it not only for ourselves, but we do it for everyone. And so Thich Nhat Hanh offers this. Begin by nourishing yourself with joyful feelings. This is back to school season, which feels like a fresh start. New shoes, sharpened pencils. I think they still use pencils. Or perhaps new tablets or laptops. An optimistic hope that this year will be great, and the awareness that summer is nearly over. And so I found this little back-to-school humor that I think some of the educators may be able to connect with. On the second day of school, Mrs. Carmichael asked her class to write 3 sentences about what they did during the summer. Simple enough? Yes, 3 sentences. However, 8-year-old Lily turned in a single sentence that said, I was busy becoming a better version of myself. Wise for an 8-year-old, yes? Interesting, and yet confused of what Mrs. Carmichael said, Lily, this is very elevated, but the assignment was for 3 sentences. Lily nodded solemnly and said, I know, but I figured if I had improved myself enough over the summer, I wouldn't need to follow instructions anymore. That's personal growth. Mrs. Carmichael blinked. That's not how growth works. Lily nodded. That's what last year's teacher said to me also. So her summer growth did not take her to the full point of elevation that she was looking for. Whether you're a student, a parent, a teacher, there's a buzz in the air that feels like possibility. And it's about more than just schedules and timelines and supplies. It's about growth, connection, and the unfolding adventure of learning. And at our town hall meeting that we hosted here on July 20th, we discussed growth and connection for the ongoing journey and discovering what Spirit has in store for our spiritual community. And in this week's newsletter, our board president, Reverend Cindy, and myself prepared for you a summary of the discussion. And so we encourage you, if you would like to go back and reread it, we do encourage you to go back and reread it. And for those of you who may have missed the meeting, you may find it in our newsletter. If you're not a subscriber to the newsletter, you may go to our website, montereycsl.org, and click on our newsletter in the upper right-hand corner of that page. I really would encourage you to go back and review those notes because there were some really nice possibilities that came out of that. Now, with possibilities, with growth, it requires change. And that's a word that some of us don't like because it brings us out of our comfort zone. And coming out of our comfort zone represents something new. And sometimes there's fear with the unknown. However, I remind us that God is our source and God provides everything that we need. And in order to expand, and in order to grow, in order to become elevated, we have to sometimes move out of our comfort zone, either willingly or being pushed. We're going to move, let's face it. We're going to move. And so I encourage you to really tune into what was discussed and shared and find your role, find your place, get behind something that inspires you, that motivates you to plant roots a little bit deeper in our community so that we continue to grow and to expand. And this leads us into our topic for today, love's ascent. I don't know why I want to say accent. Love does have an accent. Love's ascent. Love is not a fixed state. It continually evolves and expands. Every interaction, thought, and breath provides an opportunity to energize this love, this feeling of love. And when we intentionally choose to express love, we create a space for love to grow, to raise, and to manifest even more meaningfully in the world around us. Science of Mind teaches that love is omnidirectional, meaning that it radiates in all directions. It is ever present and infinite, flowing through every movement, every moment of time, space, and life. And the good news is that circumstances do not limit the infinite. Circumstances do not limit the infinite. Instead, it is the essence of the unlimited that moves us through all of our experiences. The essence of the unlimited, the essence of the infinite that moves us through all of our experiences. And so I would like to offer some practices that we can engage in to express this essence of love. And I offer these as supplements or enhancements to the spiritual practices that we are currently doing. Inner love, joy, and happiness are qualities that come from within and are expressed in our eternal lives, in our eternal as well as our external lives. Life is eternal. We appear, we have this experience, and we disappear. We were somewhere before we came here, and we go someplace after we leave here. This is not the final destination, at least in my perspective, in my view, and in the teachings of the spiritual practice. This is not the final frontier, if you will. I think that's a quote from Star Wars. Sometimes I remember things. We are not reliant on external circumstances. We create our own joy, our love, and our happiness. cultivating cultivating love, joy, and happiness from within ourselves comes through practices of loving kindness that naturally encourages generosity. And as a result of this, we tend to be more giving to others. The next practice, we touched on it last week, is loving kindness. Loving kindness is a spiritual practice that is key to the teachings of Buddhism. And while Ernest Holmes, our founder of Science of Mind, did not directly incorporate Buddhism or loving kindness, or metta as it is also known, as a formal teaching of Science of Mind, however, he expressed it as the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in all. And those are a whole bunch of words for the creative process. The desire, we appear in this form as the expressed desire or spirit to express itself through us. We come here as individualized expressions of spirit. So that is a common denominator that connects us all together. And yet we're individualized, meaning that we take that which is spirit that relates to us, that connects with us, that inspires us. We personalize it, and we bring it together into living this experience called life. And so in this Buddhist concept of metta, it is more than a wish for all beings to be happy, peaceful, and live free from suffering. It is the practice of metta is more than loving kindness and doing good and being kind to one another. And if we connect that to Science of Mind, Spirit is downloading here, sorry folks. If we connect this to the teachings of Science of Mind, we know that it is better to love one another, and most importantly, to practice loving kindness in a form that works for each and every one of us. One of the overarching visions of our Centers for Spiritual Living, which is our parent organization, is that together, as individualized expressions of the one love, the one life, the one power, we create a world that works for everyone. Now, there's been a lot of conversation within the organization and outside of the organization about this being a somewhat lofty and unrealistic goal. Be that as it may, I like to add on to that, that we create a world that works for everyone exactly where they are. And this is where the practice of metta, the practice of loving kindness, comes into an active part of our life experience. When we do good, going back to the basic golden rule, do unto others as we would have them do unto us. It requires that we be centered and grounded in the awareness of what it is that I choose, what is good for me. And it also invites us and inspires us to create boundaries so that within this realm of loving kindness, not only am I doing good, but I'm creating boundaries to say, this is what I will accept and this is what I will not accept. Many of you may have heard me say that no is a complete sentence. I heard a little modifier of that recently, and that is love does not require a modifier. Love does not require, no does not require a modifier. No does not require an explanation of any sort. And so when we say no to something, remember that we're also saying yes to something. So let's be clear about our yes. Let's be clear about the way that we show up. And this leads us into our next point, which is happiness is a practice. Let go of the idea that happiness is something that you can think into existence, such as, I'll be happy when I achieve, fill in that blank. whatever it is that you're seeking that will make you happy. In our Science of Mind textbook on page 245, paragraph 4, Ernest Holmes wrote these very profound words. We must heal ourselves from worry. We must heal ourselves from worry. We can view happiness as a skill that is developed through regular practice. We can begin by asking ourselves, what actions or practices can I take to nurture a sense of well-being within? Whether it's gratitude, meditation, connecting with loved ones, or simply taking a momentary breath, very deep cleansing breath. These are practices that can help us to find our peace and contentment. In fact, I'm reading a book that is titled Protect Your Peace. And there are some really nice tips along the way in there of how we often unconsciously surrender our peace, surrender our happiness, surrender what it is that we're seeking in life for the expressed desire of pleasing someone else. And then we find ourselves disappointed because the person that we were attempting to please has no intention of returning that. So we do our inner work. We please our own self. And in pleasing our own self, we're not reliant on anything or anyone outside of us for our happiness or for our peace. We experience feelings of joy, peace, and love within ourselves, and this is love in action, lived and felt, rather than merely understood in the mind. In this way, happiness becomes a daily choice and a path that we walk rather than a distant goal to reach. Now, it is nice to have that goal, and remember that in order to achieve the goal, we take one step at a time. And the size of the step that we take is not important. What is important is that we take the step. That step in love, that step in peace, that step in joy, that step in knowing that I am one with God and that I practice loving kindness. And so our call to action for this week, if you're willing to accept it, is to remember that as we ascend in love, we rise in consciousness. We lift ourselves, we lift our energy, we lift our thoughts beyond fear and beyond separation into the clear atmosphere of truth. And this is truth with a capital T. We know that love is something we seek. Love is not something that we seek. It is the very essence of who we are. Love is not something that we seek outside of ourselves. It is the very essence of who we are. It is the givingness of spirit moving through us and ever expanding circles of good. And I close with this quote from Ernest Holmes. It is from the book that he wrote titled This Thing Called You, and it is on page 101.3. And he wrote, life exists in its fullness at the center of our being. If it were never blocked, it will always flow through love, life, harmony, happiness, and success. And so remember that life exists in its fullness at the center of our being. And if we remove those obstacles that block the flow of love within us, we flow through life in harmony, in peace, in joy, and in success. And I invite us now to say together our affirmation for the week, and we will say it twice. I am the love that God is, and I let it move through me, in me, as me. I am the love that God is, and I let it move through me, in me, as me. I invite us now to turn within as we pray together, recognizing that there is only one life, and that life is love. It is perfect, whole, and present in each person, in each and every moment. Every breath is a breath of love, the breath of life. And as I align with this love, I become its instrument, bringing healing where there was hurt, clarity where there was confusion, and unity where there was division. And as I declare and affirm this activity of the one mind in my life, I affirm it and declare it for all people in all places, moving through life in the conscious awareness that there is unity, there is a common bond that unites us in this one love. And in this one place of one love, in this place of unity and harmony, there is a growth that is taking place in ways known and unknown. And so I speak my word for our spiritual community known as the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that this is a place where love abounds, where love abides, where love is practiced, where love is felt, where love is genuine. And as I declare this truth for our Monterey Center for Spiritual Living, I declare this truth for all places where people are gathering in the name and nature of love, in the name and nature of loving kindness, in the name and nature of harmony and peace and joy and well-being. Places where life is affirmed, where life is honored, where human dignity is honored, where love and only love prevails, where there is a welcoming and a place for all to come in, and for each voice to be heard and to be respected, and to find its place in love. I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing transitions in their lives, whether it's a transition of a loved one that has moved on to the next expression of life, the transition in right livelihood that may show up as employment, or the perfect living arrangement, or right livelihood in the form of choices, elegant choices that support each one in living the highest vision that each one has for themselves. And this highest vision is that I am one with God. God is my source. God is my joy. God is my love. God is my power. And God definitely provides everything for me that I need. For those prayers that remain in our hearts, that remain unspoken, and for those prayers that are lifted to a minister or a practitioner or a confidant, those places where one is free to express and to be held unconditionally in knowing the truth that God is and all is well. And for this and so much more, I give thanks, releasing this word into the activity and the action of love and law. I just allow it to be. And if any of what I have said resonates with you in any way, I invite you to affirm it as we say together, and so it is, and so it is. And just a reminder for those who are here in the center, if there is a prayer request that you would like for our prayer team to join with you in, we have a treatment box on the table that is to my left and would be your right. No, your left also, I think. That corner. That corner. There are treatment request forms and a treatment box, and those treatments are held in confidentiality by our prayer team. And for those of you who are viewing online, part of our Facebook community, our YouTube community, and our Zoom community, you may submit your prayer request online to our website, montereycsl.org, and those will go into a confidential mailbox where our prayer team will join you in prayer and support. And now it is time to share our love and a demonstration of our abundance through our tithes and our offerings. And I just remind you that your donations help us to make a change in the world. And this is the us collectively as a community. We do make a difference in the world. We make a difference in the way we show up. And that in itself is a difference in the world. Our Raise the Roof campaign is at $4,180, as we announced last week. We have a goal of $4,500. And so if you have not yet contributed or would like to add to your donation, you may do so. For those here in the center, if you would like to use a check or cash, we have a little kiosk on our hospitality table. You may drop it in there. For those of you who are viewing online and would like to make a donation to our Raise the Roof campaign, you may do so on our website. And on the drop-down menu, indicate roof so that it gets designated to the right place. And now we have a statement of abundance that I would like for us to say together. I recognize the presence of God within as the source of my abundance. Out of my abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so, as our greeter passes the basket here in the center, again, I thank you for the generous ways that you continue to support our center. For those of you who mail in your donations to our physical location, 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. For those of you who text, you may text to the word give, 831-246-9694. And you may also donate online to our website, montereycsl.org/donate. Continuing on our August theme on the wings of love, we invite you to join us next week as we explore soaring into love, discovering the freedom and the joy that love brings to each one of us. And so to our Facebook and our YouTube family, we love you, we appreciate you, we thank God for you. And we really encourage you to like, subscribe, and comment on the talk so that we can continue to spread this word to a broader and broader audience. And so we say good morning, and we love you.